What's up, guys? I recently picked up a Canon SL1 to resell it on eBay. I pretty much just lowball people on Facebook Marketplace locally and then resell cameras on eBay sometimes. And normally before I sell a camera on eBay, I like to test everything. And in testing this Canon SL1, I didn't know much about it when I started. I'm an SL2 guy. I like shooting with the SL2. I didn't know about the SL1. And in testing it, I think that this might be a really great camera and really underrated and a really cheap way to get into a certain type of video, especially if you're needing a YouTube camera. So on paper, the SL1 is not anything special. It's got the 18 megapixel sensor. It doesn't have a flip out screen. You do have a mic port that you can manually control. So it's kind of like a much better version of a T2i, tiny camera body. It's missing a couple of the buttons that I'm used to on my T3i or my 80D, but you can run Magic Lantern. There's actually a version of Crop Rec out for this thing that's going to enable you to shoot RAW if you can get it to work. I wasn't able to get it to work with the micro SD card that I was using for this camera. But I did put the most recent nightly build on this SD card, and let's put Magic Lantern onto this right now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with this camera and why for the price it might be a really good YouTube camera for somebody. Honestly, I'm thinking about keeping this little thing. It's a tiny little camera. I just normally put a screen protector on stuff and then put one of those little cold shoe protectors on there. And this thing did come with a kit lens. I'm probably going to hold on to this kit lens because I currently don't have one, but it was a really clean camera. It just didn't have a body cap on there, and the seller didn't know if it worked or not. So it uses the same battery as Canon M50s. They are super cheap. Again, the biggest con with this thing is going to be that fixed screen, but I'm going to talk about that in just a second. There's a way around that, and it actually works really well. Where's the menu button? Let's see if I can put Magic Lantern on here backwards. I can't see the firmware. Okay, update firmware. So I've got a nightly build on this micro SD card. Hopefully this goes well. And I have tested the nightly build a little bit already. It is a really stable build. The crop mood just did not work with the micro SD card or Crop Rec. I could not get it to work at all. But the nightly build is a stable build, and I'm going to show you why I think this thing could be a really good YouTube camera in just a second. We're going to set it up and I'll show you some footage from it. But let's look at the features in that nightly build really quick that turn this $40 camera into something with a lot of features. Okay, looking at the back of our camera, let's get into the Magic Lantern menu. So you've got your manual controls for your white balance with this build. You do not have the audio override features that the T3i has. It's got a little stutter to it. It might be this card. Let's check our battery real quick. No, battery's still good. Let's let it load one more time. Again, I'm using a micro SD card out of my DJI Osmo Action. Not the best choice, but you've got global draw, you've got zebras. You can go underexposure too. Let's go ahead and put that on there. I normally run my stuff at 4%, sometimes a little bit higher. Then I run my overexposure there, show while recording. You have focus peaking. You can do strong edges, balanced, fine detail. Pretty much the standard Magic Lantern stuff. Magic zoom, all that stuff. I don't really like the spot meter. And then for the histogram, I like to put my stuff in the Luma based. Turn that off. Linear scaling because we're not shooting RAW, and then turn that off. And then with this, you have wave forms and vector scopes and the false color. So this $40 camera now has more features than, the Canon cameras that, came out here recently, even though the menu is stuttering a little bit. You have the adjustable bitrate, record key, image fine tuning. You don't have the absolute zero sharpness with this one. You do have the shutter lock. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. You've got your digit peaking. All of that stuff is in here. And then you can shoot the Magic Lantern Light or the Magic Lantern 2.0 there. I'm not going to be doing that in this video. And that's pretty much it. So let's set this thing up, and I'm going to tell you why I think this thing might be an awesome YouTube camera for somebody. Okay, so we've kind of ruined the smallest DSLR body ever with this setup right here. But when you use the SL1 with a monitor, it doesn't compress the image like with a T2i or a T3i. You've also got pretty good preamps, got pretty clean preamps from the Canon side that you can adjust in camera. You've also got pretty quick autofocus, pretty accurate autofocus. And I think if you were to buy one of those universal cage kits, this setup right here would be a lot smaller. I've got my monitor up here. I've got my microphone mounted to a small rig magic arm. I'm just using a cheap Deity mic, and I'm getting my focus with a cheap wired shutter. All right, and then this is footage from the SL1 with the Deity mic, and I'm using my monitor for exposure. You guys can see that monitor screen right there. So with Magic Lantern installed, it doesn't compress the image and allows me to use this cheap monitor. If you're looking for a cheap YouTube camera and you're not afraid of running an external monitor or building up a little cage kit for an SL1, this would be a great choice. Again, this is a kit lens, and this is the image that I'm getting. I'm just in the regular standard color profile with daylight white balance, nothing special. I'm not going to color grade this any. It's a pretty decent camera, especially for what they're going for. And if you look around, I'm pretty sure you could find one for under $100. Now, for somebody that likes to shoot with the T3i, I don't think that this would replace that for me, but I think if I were to start over and I didn't know the T3i so well, I wouldn't be afraid to pick up one of these over the T3i, because you, again, can run the crop mood Magic Lantern Bilal build on this one and be able to record 14-bit RAW with the right memory card. The ones I ordered come in on Monday, and I think this is probably going to sell before then on eBay. But it'd be a great first camera for somebody, and they're so cheap. They're crazy cheap. That's going to be it from me today. I'll see you guys later.